Let's say, for the sake of this video, you're a human, and you're looking to get from here to here, but there's a mode of cars in your way. In the ideal situation, there is no mode. In a perfect world, your city was designed for people, and prioritizes them at every turn. But alas, our cities are indeed car-infested. So let's consider our options. I'm Alex, and this is a channel about good and bad pedestrian infrastructure. Let's travel back in time. Whoa, not that far. There we go. It's 1913 and we're pouring some of our earliest concrete sidewalks here in Calgary. This particular stamp is in Bridgeland, an area that's currently getting some fresh sidewalks with some new wayfinding. When this sidewalk was originally built, something was missing. Curb cutouts. Curb cutouts are those ramps you'll find at crosswalks. This other Calgary sidewalk was made in the 1950s, but the ramp wasn't added until much later. The original purpose of these ramps probably had a lot to do with wheelchair users. Sidewalks aren't much use if they just trap you on your block. Of course, you probably know these are also great for people pushing strollers, pulling carts, or children riding their bikes. This is an example of what's called, well, what do you know? It's called the curb cut effect. Basically, when we do something to benefit a minority population, and it ends up benefiting everybody, perhaps in completely unexpected ways. Another example of this effect is the use of these tactile bumps at crossings and train station platforms. Sure, these bumps are used as a sort of urban braille, and particularly at those with visual impairments. But I'm sure you can see how anyone would benefit from these truncated domes. Maybe we're not paying attention. Maybe we're chatting with a friend or looking at our phone. So we're going to add that to our crosswalk. Though things still aren't quite right. Notice how these ramps lead out into the intersection rather than into the crossing? Yeah, that's going to be a big problem. So let's set them off to the side a little bit. Much better. But what's next? Can we do better? Well, it sure doesn't help to have a car parked right in front of the ramp. We could add paint to indicate don't park here, but I think we know paint won't cut it. And even when cars aren't parked on the crossing, parking right at it reduces the visibility of those looking to cross, especially children. This can be deadly. We're not talking about what would be nice to have, we're talking about lives here. So we're going to add these bump outs, bulbs, or extended curbs. We can do this with temporary structures like concrete barriers or planter boxes, or when designing spaces, we could just build it in. And yeah, people might still mess things up for us. Everything we've talked about so far is very unobtrusive for cars. It's a tiny bit of extra infrastructure, and it's probably actually cheaper if you do it right from the get-go. But there's one more step you can take if you really want to show you're prioritizing people over cars. Raised crosswalks, also known as continuous sidewalks. These are physical barriers to cars going fast. They make walking around your neighborhood even more comfortable, and they save lives. So we've made a pretty nice crosswalk here, but let's go back to those fully pedestrianized streets. Streets are for people. Look how pleasant this is. If you're Calgarian, you'll be familiar with how obnoxious the loud cars are on 17th Avenue Southwest. We might have patio dining here, but loud and smelly cars can really ruin the experience. And this doesn't mean no cars. You could build a street like this one in Banff. It prioritizes people, but provides vehicle access to parkades. Of course, emergency vehicles and pickup and drop-off have access too. The Streetscape Master Plan for the changes coming to Stephen Avenue here in Calgary goes into depth about this sort of thing, showing which vehicles are given the highest priority. You could also build totally walkable streets that also feature transit, like this one in Birmingham, England, or again on Banff Ave. What your city chooses to build shows what its values are. The good news is you can be part of that conversation. Show up to your council meetings, email your representatives, do small things to improve your community. Speak up. Recently, I made a reel about a bus stop that wasn't fully cleared of snow. The city of Calgary responded and made sure the snow was cleared. This is a small thing, but that was just me that did that. Think about what you can accomplish when you work with other people who also care about their communities. So, will you build car infrastructure masquerading as pedestrian infrastructure? Or will you build a beautiful city, a humane city?